Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining the session this morning, and hope you're enjoying the conference so far. My name's John Manning. I'm really excited to share a bit about the transformations at Republic that we're going through at the moment and how we've been able to demonstrate the value of EA. So here's the agenda we'll go through. We'll start by talking a little bit about the company itself and some of those initiatives that we're working through. Then we'll discuss the decisions that the EA team made and the deliverables that we've been able to provide. Towards the end, we'll summarize some key takeaways and leave some time for questions. So Republic has a long history in the recycling and waste industry. And today we're a leader in the environmental services industry. We're certified as a great place to work. We're a member of the Dow Jones Sustainability Indices and Barron's 100 Most Sustainable Companies, to name just a few awards. We have nearly 40,000 employees that serve over 13 million customers across North America. And that's everyone from residential customers to large oil and gas organizations. And with our acquisition of US Ecology at the end of last year, we're now a partner for all your environmental needs, be it solid waste and recycling pickup, or all the way through to hazardous waste cleanup. We have the 5th largest vocational fleet in the US with over 16,000 vehicles. And a good number of those are already powered by natural gas. However, personally, what I'm really excited about here is to see how our fleet evolves. Our CEO announced earlier this year that we expect half our fleet to be EVs, to be electric vehicles in the next 5 years. So a little bit about me. I'm based in Phoenix, Arizona, but like a lot of people here in the desert, I'm not a native. I moved here in 2011 with my wife, thinking we'd stay for a few years, but a dog and a couple of kids have laid some pretty deep roots now in the beautiful desert. A lot of my background is in data integration, BI, and analytics. But since being at Republic, I've been lucky enough to be involved in many different initiatives from customer portals and CRM through to master data management. I now lead our growing EA team, and we'll be focusing more on maturing our practice as well as continuing to support the strategic initiatives that we're about to talk about. So let's set the stage by talking about some of those. We have 3 large strategic programs running that impact all areas of our business. First is ERP, which is an effort to modernize our back-end systems. It's a large multi-year program looking at finance, procurement, asset management, billing, and other back-end functions. Second is digital operations. So this is primarily focused on introducing technology into our trucks and for our dispatchers. Our RISE platform is the center of this and is a cloud-native solution, which I'm really proud to say was built in-house by our own development teams. It's already given us many new capabilities, including seeing real-time data from our fleet of vehicles as they're servicing our customers. Last but definitely not least, customer zeal. So customer zeal represents our obsession with providing great digital experiences to our customers, whether that's an automated notification to a smartphone when we're on our way, or interactions on our customer portal and website. As an EA team, we were receiving a lot of requests from our IT development teams and IT leadership to provide input and guidance on these initiatives. We needed to be able to articulate information quickly and concisely. At the time, we were spending a lot of time looking for PowerPoints, looking for Visios, and then trying to determine how up to date they were before we could provide those answers. The process just wasn't very scalable for us. So what did we do? Firstly, we decided that we wanted technology to help us. We evaluated several portfolio tools or enterprise architecture tools based on the quality of dynamic visualizations. Remember, one of our challenges was we wanted to save time, but also the ability of those tools to integrate to the rest of our enterprise, the extendability and programmability we had within the platform, and very importantly for us, as we were a very small team, the tool's ability to grow with us. What we really wanted underpinning all this was a way to treat the diagrams as data. Out of the 4 or 5 tools that we evaluated, RDoc was best suited for our needs due to the quality of the visualizations, the flexibility of the graph database that underpins RDoc, and their API-first approach, which allowed us to build custom integrations if we needed to. So we decided to make the purchase in September 2020. Over the next few slides, we'll cover some of the highlights of the EA team's accomplishments since we made that decision to purchase RDoc. And I really want to emphasize before we get into this the word team, as what I'm going to show you was definitely not just me, it was the whole EA team that's been involved. So diving in, with any new technology, we wanted to show the benefit of the tool quickly, while also learning a little bit more about how to use it. So our first win was consolidating several business capability spreadsheets that had been generated during numerous third-party engagements over the years and bringing those together into the system. There was a lot of preparation work to scrub, clean, dedupe the spreadsheets. But once we had a good set of data, we could import that through the Excel importer and immediately had a centralized graphical view of our business capabilities that we could share with other members of the team, format, and link to other data within the system. I have to admit, it's always a good day when you can retire many hard-to-find Excel files. Secondly, we were in the middle of an analytics modernization where we were evaluating what technology we needed to satisfy future analytics capabilities. So next, we built on the business capability idea, and we created data and analytics technical capabilities in RDoc, which we then related to current and future technologies. With this deliverable, we could use conditional formatting to highlight technology that we wanted to retire, or technology that we hadn't yet implemented. And we figured out that we could organize, we had control over the capability map to specify the order that we wanted things to appear in. This control was that one area that we were a little bit concerned about going with a tool, because with a diagram, you have unlimited freedom to organize and rearrange. So we were really happy to find that we had enough ability to customize these diagrams, and then the trade-off of management of those diagrams is completely worth it. Both of these deliverables gave a single user-friendly visualization that was actually connected to real data and that we could share with a wider community. Something we discovered as we moved through this was that also as we added data to the system, added more objects, added more information, added more relationships, these diagrams can update automatically, so they always reflect the current state of the world. Moving on to 2021. So in 2021, we talked a lot about the meta model that we wanted to use. We did a lot of experimentation with different meta models, including building separate workspaces, which are areas within RDoc to build out certain use cases. So I wanted to highlight a couple of examples here. The first was a reference architecture model for event-driven architecture, or EDA. We built out a visualization that was technology agnostic and incorporated that into a presentation for distribution. A presentation in RDoc is a pre-configured. So when I say pre-configured, think pre-configured filters, pre-configured grouping, pre-configured formatting. It's a pre-configured set of views that you can package together into a series of live web pages, which you can make accessible to non-RDoc users. We also started looking at detailed integration architectures and built some of those out. One example of which is related to our ERP modernization. So in this situation, the requirements and design were still in flux and were still being refined. So the landscape was changing pretty often. Those types of changes might have been integration methods changing, or the frequency of an integration, or the volume of data going through the integration, or just integrations coming and going. And so with this deliverable, we were able to quickly re-import data on a regular basis to regenerate the diagram. The data in this case was coming from Jira. So an export from Jira directly into RDoc to build up this diagram. And because you're dealing with a database, you can add fields to a particular entity or a particular relationship. So we were able to include a URL field on the integrations for ERP, which linked you directly to the Jira issue describing the work being done. We actually use this ability to add fields and specifically link out to other sources quite a lot, whether it's to a vendor's website or internal documentation in Confluence or SharePoint or elsewhere. It's really starting to help us turn our RDoc system into a central hub for application and architecture knowledge. I'm not sure how well you can see the visuals there, but I did want to call out one extra thing here, and that is the ability to customize the icons and images that you use in the diagrams. It's another small feature, but that ability to replace a blue box with a Salesforce logo, or as you can see here, an icon to specifically describe part of our event-driven architecture, really helps to improve the professionalism and the quality of those visualizations that you produce, especially when you're talking to business users. So by 2022, we wanted to make modeling the future easier. So up to this point, we had been making copies of workspaces to make changes, or using our non-production environment to describe how changes would be made, because we didn't want to affect our current state that people were accessing. So what we did was we made the case to add scenarios to our RDoc license. Scenarios work a lot like a branch in source code. So we're able to fork off the current state of applications or integrations, really any selection of things that you have within the system, and then make changes to that data, including adding and deleting of components and relationships. As you're making those changes, they are occurring only within the scenario branch. They're not impacting your current state. Once you've been through the process and you're happy with the changes as they are in your scenario, you then have the ability to merge those changes back into your mainline to update your current state. So very powerful. We used this scenario functionality to describe how we might be able to accomplish ideas brought to us by our sustainable innovation team. This ability to quickly build what-if scenarios with real data without affecting our current state was really powerful. In the visual at the bottom here, you can see an example of how the scenario is reflected. So the green indicates new. You're able to actually do a diff between what's in your current state and what's in your scenario, and show added, deleted, and changed. Lastly, in 2022, I wanted to call out that we introduced people into RDoc. This is still a work in progress for us as we try to get good quality data for all our applications. What we did was we integrated RDoc to our Azure Active Directory to bring in information about key resources on projects or related to applications. Everything we do it revolves around people. So being able to make this connection to the people involved in various efforts and with applications, and to be able to visualize with those resources at the center of the diagram is a unique way. It's really a unique way to look at the to look at gaps. By this time, we'd established a really good core set of data built around these different vertical use cases. And this gave us a good foundation to allow us to then fill in the gaps. So we're able to fill in the gaps for our applications and generate a full application portfolio, which right now is sitting at over 450 applications. That ability to now build out horizontal use cases really leads us into today. So this year, we have 4 primary goals: improved governance and expanding contributors. Those two really go hand in hand. So today, the EA team is responsible for maintaining most of the information within RDoc. Our ideal state is we want to be able to open up access to the wider IT architecture team and the wider IT team in general to manage certain pieces of data. For example, we're planning to use survey and broadcast functionality within RDoc to target specific people with surveys about the data we store. So no generic email blasts going out to everyone. Surveys allow application owners to receive a survey about the applications they own and validate information or provide missing information. We're also working closely with our ServiceNow team to integrate the application portfolio I mentioned into ServiceNow. Once we've done that, the ServiceNow team will be driving several key IT processes around incident management and disaster recovery and business continuity using that information. Talking about ServiceNow, we're also thinking about how we might use data that ServiceNow has within their system and bring that back into RDoc. For example, in our CMDB, we hold a lot of information about the infrastructure in our data centers. As we've gathered more data, we've seen the opportunity to include this information as part of new employee onboarding to help an employee get familiar with his or her area and the applications and processes they support. Our current thought here is to create a presentation tailored to each of our departments, which contains information about their applications, the business functions they support, and how those applications are integrated. We really like this use case as our landscape is always evolving. And believe it or not, one of the most common questions we get from new employees is, what does that application do? And lastly, this year, I'm happy to say we've already made a really good start on this. We want to start gathering the data for our information security applications and information security capabilities and bring them into RDoc so that they can be visible in a central location alongside all our other applications and technical and business capabilities. This one really represents another one of those vertical use cases that's helping us fill in more gaps in our data. Okay, so in summary, I hope some of this resonated with you, and if it did, and if you're beginning or are already on a similar journey, here are 4 things to think about as you go down that path. Firstly, effective technology. So the technology you choose to help is only as good as how you're using it and its adoption. So really think about what is driving the need at your organization. Integration is important, as you likely won't own all the data, but will want the unique ability to see across those data silos. Without the integration capabilities, you really risk creating yet another silo. Secondly, don't boil the ocean. Be agile. Find those initial use cases that are right for your organization, the use cases that justify the investment and can show the value of that investment early. For you, this could be a full application portfolio, what I refer to as a horizontal use case. For us, it was several vertical use cases looking at capabilities, applications, integrations, and even projects, which eventually led us to that horizontal application portfolio. Thirdly, be ready to change direction as your usage matures. We've refined and changed our meta model a few times, more than a few times, and as we discovered, it kind of didn't meet our new requirements. Over the last few years, we've gone from multiple application workspaces to a single application workspaces with integrations included. And now we're separating out those integrations into their own workspace to give us a richer view of our integration landscape. Happy to say that the RDoc has some best practice modules to help you get started as you think through that model and think through how you want to do this. And lastly, remember that the information is beneficial not just to IT groups, but also to the business. I always think that EA kind of sits in between those two, and we work across both sides. What we've seen is that requests have now started to come directly from the business for EA support, as well as from the IT teams. And these audiences require different levels of information. In my experience, a tool like RDoc gives you the ability to filter, to group, to select, and to tailor those visuals to different audiences more easily and quickly than any PowerPoint or diagramming tool you might use. I will close with this though. You may still find yourself copying and pasting an RDoc diagram into PowerPoint. That's okay. Just breathe, and then remember to include the link to the presentation in your PowerPoint. So thank you very much for listening, and I will open it up for any questions. Let me look through the chat here. Okay, so I'll just start at the top and I'll work my way down here. So first question, how's your experience with RDoc been so far? It's been pretty good. So talking specifically with the RDoc team, they've been helpful, you know, from a support perspective, from connecting us with other customers who have been there and done that. With the tool itself, we've seen it grow a lot over the last few years. For us, there was a bit of a learning curve. It's backed by a graph database. So if you aren't familiar with graph databases and how they work, you have to kind of get your brain around that. But once you have, it's incredibly powerful. And a couple of the members of our team have done some pretty amazing things with Gremlin, which is the query language to navigate that graph. Second question, with a small startup team, how did you justify the cost of RDoc? What was the value proposition for investing in the tool? So it's a good question. The small team was actually part of our justification. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we were spending a lot of cycles looking for information, a lot of cycles building diagrams. And one of the ways we justified the tool was this is a time saver for us. If we can bring this information together, if we can more quickly tailor and create the diagrams, it's actually going to save us time. We can do more with less. And so that was a big part of our justification in the value proposition. Okay, next question. Work typically in the documentation space does not get investment very easily. Okay, so I kind of just answered that. So our team was relatively new, relatively small. So there was some, as well as us being able to justify the time saving, I think we were due a little bit of funding as well. But like I said earlier, it was primarily around us being able to do more with less. Some of the other tools that we evaluated, we looked at ServiceNow, as we already had ServiceNow in-house, and we looked at a couple of other EA tools from Gartner's Magic Quadrant, and I think there was one open source tool in there which is escaping me at the moment. So there were 4 or 5 tools that we looked at. Okay, next question. Do we have the EA tool integrated to ServiceNow? So we are doing that right now, actually. So we haven't had the tool integrated to ServiceNow, but we are now going down that path to integrate business applications into ServiceNow. For anyone who knows anything about ServiceNow, they kind of separate into multiple layers. So we're providing business applications, and what I was talking about earlier was bringing data back. So that would be things like the application services and potentially the CIs, the infrastructure. Okay. Can you share the metrics to show success? So that's a good question. I don't have any hard metrics other than we've been able to produce a lot with a very small team. So the way I think about it is requests for EA. So EA isn't always the first group you think to involve. So we are seeing a lot of requests for EAs, an increasing number of requests for EAs being involved in various efforts. And so I take that as a good metric for the value that we're showing as an organization. Tooling for CMDB technology. The ServiceNow is our primary CMDB technology. Okay, with that is the end. So thank you again for listening, and enjoy the rest of the conference.